Welcome to Grumpy Grognard Gaming. It's Al here, and it's a momentous occasion. Not only do you finally get to see what I look like, you poor bastards, but on top of that, I have got the one, the only Tuomas Pirinen with me. So we're going to have a chat. We're going to talk about Trench Crusade. We're going to touch upon Mordheim, because I wouldn't be able to forgive myself if I didn't. And yeah, we're just going to have a good chat. It's crazy because just last week I put the video out and was like, oh, I might try and have a chat with Tuomas. And then Ruski got hold of me, and just a few days later, here we are. So welcome to Grumpy Grognard Gaming. Tuomas, how you doing? You all right?
I'm doing great. It's great pleasure. It's the really, I'm a really big fan of all old school stuff and the sort of a longer viewpoint of the hobby. So then of course I lived in Nottingham for a while, so you're local, obviously a lot of memories, a lot of friends there. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I literally remember when you did Mordheim, you appeared in White Dwarf, long hair, you know.
Yeah.
And I was working for the company at that time. I was working for GW in retail, so I remember Mordheim coming out. And although I just want to touch on that later, I don't think it's ever been bettered. But we've got other stuff to talk about, including Trench Crusade. But I'm going to start off in a really cliche way, I'm afraid. What got you into tabletop? What got you into wargaming back in the day?
Oh, tabletop, it's D&D all the way. Like the red box, little kid in Finland, blew my mind just to cover. You remember that red dragon and the fighter? I was totally sold. And the being a dungeon master and game master for 30 years, it's the and discovered Warhammer as I started looking at the like fantasy gaming at large. Because obviously White Wolf at that point had all sorts of games. So they discovered Warhammer there. They started playing it, and there is the always been a strong tabletop community in Finland. So here I am.
Awesome. For me, it was Hero Quest. I don't know if you remember Hero Quest back in the day. My dad picked up a copy of that, and that was it. I was just like, oh, miniatures and dice. Oh dear.
And Sir, you remember the advert in UK by Sir Christopher?
Oh, broadsword.
Rolls.
Just brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, and as I say, 30 years later, here I am, and you know, talk about the good old days, but also stuff that's coming out at the moment. One of the cool things about wargaming becoming so popular is just there is just so much of it now. I don't think people understand that back in the day there wasn't so much. There was just a handful of games. The people who set up things like Mantic and Warlord, they were still working for GW back in those days. So it was just Warhammer, and Warhammer has made it possible for all those other companies.
Yeah. We earn a huge debt to the Surrey and Livingstone, obviously the Rick, the obvious my mentor John Blanche, and the well, we lost a Titan this year, didn't we? It's the with the really the man from the point of view of building a company. It's the Brian Ansell was the man. Without him, we'd have probably almost nothing that we could
He was
compare.
the instigator of the growth of Games Workshop, I suppose. A visionary, you would say.
Yeah.
So yes, that was a sad loss, and yes, rest in peace.
Yes, hard man, but trying to build a growing company in the middle of like you remember the depression in UK, that you are able to, instead of closed doors, is to grow it. Maybe you need somebody quite hard nosed. This even for he like all my friends says he could be a very demanding and hard boss, but as far as I know, it's the not unfair. I've only met him once, so I have only second-hand knowledge.
Sometimes I think in order to achieve results, you kind of need to be like that. It's like my philosophy that to be a rock star, you kind of need to be an asshole, because that allows you to attain that larger than life kind of persona. And yeah, maybe Brian had that. I know that in White Dwarf, in the content they put sod off Brian Ansell, so he wasn't the most popular man, but very, very important, very driven.
And you have to look at anybody's life. Is very few of us are just like pure golden saints all our life. So you take the good with the bad, and the I think it is better, unless it's like somebody who's done something truly horrible. Try to focus on the good, cause bring yourself down.
Absolutely agreed. So I guess I was going to leave it a little bit later, but we seem to be going in chronological order. So you know what? I'll get your GW stuff out of the way now. So how did you approach and start working for Games Workshop?
Oh, this is the story everybody asks, and I just say that please do not try to follow my footsteps. It will never happen to anybody else. So I was back in Finland. We were in the throes of deep depression in the beginning of 90s. I'd just gotten out of army. I did have a job, but I didn't like it. So I spent all my free time writing the Warhammer stuff on the, at that point they were called newsgroups, because this was a time when downloading emails took hours. So I wrote a lot of stuff there. I gathered quite a following. I only found out about that much later. It's the Direwolf group was the big one where I wrote, and one of the members was Jervis Johnson, and he really liked what I wrote. So he asked the GW to send me plane tickets, and they liked me, they liked my stuff, and I got a job offer first at Citadel Journal. Then the fat bloke said that, you know what, you're better off at the main studio. It's almost immediately. White Dwarf, as was there for about a year, maybe a bit less, because a very good school if you want to sort of learn deadlines and the writing under pressure and all the skills you need in the work side of the hobby. And then Rick Priestley grabbed me into the game design, and there I was, and I was there many years and did quite a few things.
Fantastic. I think when I said to Matt on our chat the other day, I really do think of those as being the golden days of GW, the fat bloke, white dwarf era. You know, the stuff that was being put out then was incredible. And me and Matt did a retrospective going through Rogue Trader recently, which obviously Rick Priestley created. And I mean, man, I've not looked at that book in a long time, but we were just blown away at the depth and the care to detail and the enthusiasm that it takes to create something like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's upended the whole industry. There's never been a revolution like that in miniature gaming space, and I doubt there ever will be, because 40K is the number one globally, like by far. And again, we see there that Brian, who, as Rick told me, didn't really believe in it, but believed in Rick, and the Rick creating this complete mad shot in the dark, and the succeeding like beyond all imagination. Let me go. There is somebody messaging me. I'm going to close it because that's rude.
Yeah, I closed my Facebook because I didn't want any notifications coming up. Yeah, I mean, Jervis is retired now. Obviously, he lives just down the road from me in West Bridgeford, literally just down the road. A lot of the old school now are leaving. Obviously, John Blanche is retired. Jez is getting on in years. Obviously, he's heading up the studio for the sculpting and everything. We are looking at a change of personnel big time in GW, almost like the ending of an era, I think, where
Yes.
we are going to see all these people just departing. You know, a lot of the old guard at the moment are in specialist games, and it's quite noticeable and obvious with what they're producing that they are the old guard. But yeah, I think it's all changing. But I will always fondly remember that time, and especially Mordheim. So with Mordheim, was your brief to make a fantasy Necromunda, or?
No, me and Rick were laughing our asses off when people believed that the world was going to end, because a Mayan calendar said the time was up, and everybody believed in Y2K. By the way, I don't want to take anything away from all the software engineers who worked hard to keep our computers running, but saying that this is the end of humanity was a bit much. And then I just said, Rick, well, you know, what if it would really happen? And this led us into the lie, right? This actually, for once, the predictions are true, but we can do that in Warhammer world. But didn't want to wipe out the whole world because it was half the business, but we could wipe out the city. So this was my pitch and idea. And when you had, because Rick was at that point the head of studio and a board director, it's when he said, yeah, go for it, I went for it. But we had been looking at some kind of cost, as you know, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, especially at that point, that was a big investment to get into it. So we wanted the game that would be more of the entrance that wouldn't require quite so much the investment and involvement. So that's how Mordheim came to be. So of course, many other people are responsible for what it is like. The John Blanche, obviously, the one game where his art direction probably came through the purest of his career. Obviously, the one that he brings up is and he's still part of the Mordheim community online, which is for a man like that, it's not a small feat. I mean, he's not a spring chicken, and as you know, he's faced some tough challenges health-wise. So, but he's very active. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his blend Shih Tzu. I mean, when you have a painting style named after you, that's pretty epic, you know. But with Mordheim, what I loved about Mordheim was it took the whole wide world and it shrunk it right down. It was like, okay, here's what Middenheimers look like, you know, and it went through all the different sort of undergrowth of the empire we've not really seen before, and just presented that kind of very irreverent. I mean, like fish. There was like fish everywhere. I remember that being a thing, and it was just a little bit sort of not tongue in cheek necessarily, but there was just an irreverence there, which dated me back to Rogue Trader.
It is a rock trader, and of course, the when you look at the medieval art, which is a huge inspiration for John and the other artists in this, there was some like mad stuff there that a lot of that comes through in it. But it's rare because you can only realize afterwards that you've created a cult classic. I don't think you can plan to do one. And I just think that the literally stars align. So maybe there was something in the Mayan calendar. But it wasn't telling the end of the world. It's telling that the Mordheim would come.
It was saying Mordheim, yeah, exactly. Well, I'm surprised that GW have frankly never touched it again. That setting. Obviously, they destroyed the old world, but I'm surprised they haven't taken that whole idea of a city, because they've brought back the cities of Sigmar belatedly. Because Age of Sigmar undeniably went through that kind of very borderline sci-fi fantasy phase, and then they notably, in my opinion, around about the time of Cursed City, I would say, went in a very old world, old fantasy battle aesthetic. You got back the witch hunters, you got back the wizards, and they continued down that road. So whether or not they plan to revisit Mordheim, but I think it's just amazing that 25 years later we're talking now, and it's still regarded as probably one of, and in my opinion, probably the best game that Games Workshop has produced.
So certainly in the in the fandom, there's the mainstream, but when we talk about the miniature gamers like us, it is actually like matters to our hearts. Then I mean the community is immense. It seems to grow every year. The events they are running, tournaments, it's absolutely crazy. I was just in the Italy in Modena Play, which is this huge convention. It's the biggest miniature game there by far. That the quality of the Mordheim painting competition was so high that one of the entries won Golden Demon, and it still couldn't win. And we are talking about the Mordheim tournament in a tiny city. So there is something in the water. It's I think, and of course, I wouldn't say that you can look at individual aspect, except maybe art, where it's the best ever, but it's a combination that so many things came together. Because no game has perfect rules and perfect art and perfect terrain and everything, but it was the right combination of things, and it's the proof is in the pudding. Mad number of people are playing it after 25 years. It's we did something right.
I mean, when you say that you get more players than ever playing it every year, are we talking about, hesitate to use the word, but youngsters? Is there a young crowd coming into it, or is it just old people in general who remember it?
Yeah, the thing is, because it's compared to a lot of other Warhammer style games, it's actually really easy to get into. You only need a few models. The rules, while not the most modern, because of course it had to follow the 5th edition formula. I mean, anything else would have been mad back then, because I was one of the 2 top dogs. It's still reasonably straightforward to play, because I simplified and streamlined a lot of the Necromunda stuff to make it flow a bit better. And then there is like the parents. That's the game that they are teaching their kids. Like we see a lot of youngsters coming through that. And then there was the video game release, which was very successful. The more successful than Necromunda of the same shop, which blew my mind. It's because and a lot of youngsters came through from there. They fell in love with the world, and they wanted to know more. And there's a lot of old grognards were saying, it's video games, and I said, look, don't have to like it, but think about it. The community is gaining people, so you have more to play with, and the more people that will do terrain and run events and the chat. So let's be generous. Let's be the open, because that's what it's always been about. Let's welcome the youngsters, and I think that's been good for the community.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps the game alive, doesn't it? And the fans can only do so much. It's still nice to have something that keeps it in the zeitgeist, front and centre, on the front of magazines, that kind of thing. So it's all going to help. And as I say, it's a testament to the quality of the game. I used Sisters of Sigmar. I love my Sisters of Sigmar warband. They're still sitting in my gaming room at the moment. They got a little bit OP once they got leveled up with the strength with those Hammers of Sigmar, but they weren't quite as bad as the Skaven. Yeah, they smited many of Sigmar's foes. But no, there was never anything quite like Mordheim. I remember when it came out, the main thing that it took me a little while to get my head around was sort of like, oh, not everybody's a character now. Now I have these little units of henchmen.
Yeah.
That was the big change for me. But it worked.
Because the idea there was that I played lots of Necromunda, love it, but the edition back then, to having every ganger to have injuries and individual equipment and the names and everything, it was very, very cumbersome for me to run it. So I wanted and I also wanted that, because in every story, right, you have the main and side characters. So we have the 6 main characters named, individual skills, and then you have the supporting cast, which also made it much more lightweight for the people to handle the progression. And I did other things, like instead of numbers, you just tick boxes for your XP and you see which one gives you advance. But I tried to lighten the load. I mean, that's now, as far as I know, I was the first who did that. Now it's used in quite a few games, which I'm super proud of.
Absolutely, yeah, that's definitely been adopted. Mm-hmm. So moving on from Mordheim, you're also involved in Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition, from what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I did tons of stuff for 5th edition, but and I did Realm of Chaos box there. But of course, I wrote the 6th edition with Rick.
Awesome, and that may well be one of the last things that I remember Rick doing. I don't think he wasn't involved in 7th, was he?
No, of course. He went so high up in the company, which on the hindsight, I think it's waste. Because, I mean, look at this way. Do you remember Shakespeare? Can you remember Shakespeare's name?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you remember his banker's name?
Nope.
You see what I mean?
Did he have one? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think Rick's time is always better spent in the making games than doing a management.
It's a creative mind, isn't it? And even when he left GW, he just went straight into making games for other people. Warlord, I think he came up with Warlords of Erewhon, I think it was, and maybe Bolt Action with Alessio Calvatore. So yeah, he's doing stuff. Sorry?
Gates of Antares.
Gates of Antares. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when I was talking about Warlord as a alternative to GW, because Warhammer has problems with its turn structure, in my opinion, and some of the rules in the game, and it's nice to have an alternative to play. And I think the turn sequence for Bolt Action, where you put all your dice in a bag and then draw one out one at a time and assign a unit, an order, and it's genius.
Yep.
That's such a great way of doing things, and it doesn't mean that every time it's alternating, because you might have 2 or 3 in a row, but the odds are going to change because the dice are in the bag. So yeah, very, very clever. So when Mike came up with Trench Crusade, did he approach you to help develop it, or was it something you saw and you were like, oh, I want some of this?
Oh no, they contacted me because the Mike is an artist and a wonderful one. Also, is quite handy with the old pen. But and he originally was thinking about the art books, but it's the funny thing how having something physical and something people can interact with is the engages the mind more. And the obviously huge, I mean, he considers himself as a pure discipline of John Blanche and huge fan of Mordheim. It's the one thing that the artistic people that are into the hobby tend to, so they would change. They just contacted me, and I thought of my days working with John Blanche, and I said, this is probably my best chance to do something. So we formed a company, and I started cracking with the rules. It's because he's been doing the art for a long time. It's and you have a wonderful piece of his as your background. It's the extraordinary talent. but obviously he's not a game designer. It's and I am, and of course I also have done tons of lore writing. But we just hit it because once we started working together, there was such a camaraderie, such an easy creative outflow. Like we've never had any arguments. We've just been like super. We enforce and the invigorate each other. So it's been just pure pleasure. Is the work
like-minded? You just gel, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the artwork is just, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, I've put up the piece that is probably safest as far as YouTube are concerned. I didn't think I'd get away with putting these stigmatic nuns up. But the look of the universe is just, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just absolutely mind-blowing. It really is. We've not seen anything like that from Warhammer for a long time. Now, obviously, that is because Warhammer has made a conscious effort, and I don't think it's made a conscious effort to become more woke. It's becoming a conscious effort to become more mainstream and acceptable. They want younger people playing it. They want more people playing it. So they've had to tone down a few little bits here and there because, you know, I mean, I remember when I was a staff member at GW. This is 25 years ago. I was working retail, doing an intro game. If I had like a 13, 14-year-old kid around and his parents weren't around, I made that intro game as gory as possible. You know, he fires the bolt gun and it goes into his, and then it explodes and there's blood and guts everywhere. But when you're trying to attract a younger crowd, you can't necessarily do that. So that stuff gets toned down, and that's a corporate decision. When I look at something like Trench Crusade, which just flat out says, no, this is a mature game, this ain't for kiddies, then you just know you're going to be getting into something that is not going to be compromised in any way as far as the setting goes. So give us a quick rundown for anybody who's watching me, that watching this video that has not heard of Trench Crusade. Just give us a little rundown. What is Trench Crusade?
I'm going to go with the lore because everything hangs from the understanding of the world. So the first crusade has just ended and the Jerusalem has been conquered. Now the group of knights is to find a holy artifact. We do not know which one it is, but it's most likely one of the holiest of holies. Some say it's the crown of thorns, others the true cross. It's the Islamic sects they might claim it might be one of the holy relics of Muhammad. No one knows. They commit an ultimate heresy. Again, the ritual lies in darkness to gain great power. An actual gate to hell opens. Jerusalem is destroyed in Catholicism. The monsters have been lurking in the shadows of the world from the old tales come out is to attack people, and the armies of the third circle of hell pour out. The Levant is overrun. It's the heretics, it's the humans, it's the bow before the demons and they become the first heretic legionnaires. It's the Great War starts. It's that everywhere the humanity is in retreat. It's the only places where they are stopped finally is in the Principality of New Antioch that refuses to give in, and a coalition is of the African states is under the Ethiopia where the church was first installed, Christian church, is to gather to face them. The great iron wall that has been prophesied appears in the east. It's all the Islamic factions is the countries is to make a escape to under the protection of the iron wall. And after that, it's been 800 years of the Great War. It's with great battles and then the long lulls of peace. And now it's year 1914 of our Lord. It is both armies after a uneasy peace are now gearing up for the Great War to start again. And in this short period is that there is the no man's land between the heretical lands and those of the faithful, and both sides send small bands of warriors to recover artifacts, intel, spy on the enemy, slay important enemy leaders. It's the search the ruins for the lost weapons and technology. And you take the command of one of these small the groups just at the eve of the war, and that's the setting of the game.
Right, gotcha. Okay, so you've got a wide world or alternate history, because I mean, presumably there was no Prussian Empire to provoke the First World War. They've been at war for a long time. I mean, did Stephenson still invent the steam engine? You know, you don't know how history's changed. So it's a fascinating setting with a lot of scope for exploration. And you've still got that unreliable narrative, because, as you say, with the Templars who committed the ultimate heresy, nobody knows what it was. It's lost in the mists of time, kind of thing. So, is it right to say that the Circle of Hell is like a portal, and you've got like an epicenter coming out from that almost, which is then being resisted by? So it's like an expanding empire, and it's being resisted by various factions, basically.
Yes. And not only that, of course, it's it's a physical presentation of metaphysical evil. Approaching it is for the heretics. That's the test. That are you evil enough that you can approach it?
I saw that they make a pilgrimage to the gates of hell. Yes, that was in the law primer.
But of course, from the faithful, it's lethal to them. Apart from a selected group of 9, so the superhuman knights called the paladins, who can actually make raids to hell. But of course, 9 warriors isn't enough to take on a trillion of devils and demons. So it also anchors them that even when the faithful are whenever they push them back, it's the corrupting essence of the gate is makes it impossible for them to conquer the heretic heartlands. Also, the heretics have been gaining the ground every year. They pushed into the Egypt. The Constantinople has fallen to them. They've taken Gibraltar in a surprise attack, which has then opened the Atlantic to the heretic fleet, and especially their insidious submarine fleet so they menace Yeah, there is Cyprus is still in faithful hands, so they can supply the Principality of New Antioch at a great cost, because the faithful have all taken a vow that they will send 10% of all their earnings as a teeth. So they'd rather fight the heretics in Levant than in France or in Free State of Prussia or Holy Roman Empire. And Britain, it's England is the own kingdom, because they were fighting heretics, so they didn't have time to conquer Ireland and Scotland, so those are independent states, and they are fighting against the naval superpower of the heretics. The England has built the great moving fortress that patrols the coastline, because Admiral Nelson was betrayed and the Royal Navy lost the seas, so now the Brits are on the defense. They almost won the Battle of the Bloodied Cliffs in the front of the White Cliffs of Dover, but Nelson was betrayed. One of his sub-commanders turned a heretic and attacked his fleet in the back, so he held the line. So at least some of the English Navy made it safety. And his dying wish was that they build the great moving fortress, because he's no longer protecting England.
Fantastic. So you've got a whole alternate history to explore, where you can do nearly anything that's affected the current state of things. Because I mean, you were talking about the paladins. People might not realise the paladins are 17 foot tall. They're giants. And you've got things like the Shrine Anchorites, which you've got monks inside them, and they're fueled by holy power, or they started activating through holy power. So there's so much scope for development. And so far we have, if I remember correctly, we have the Principality of Antioch, we have the Trench Pilgrims, the Heretic Forces, Black Grail, which is like a better version of Nurgle. Sorry, GW, it is. They're not all happy and friendly. They're really, really nasty. I did a short story, which obviously you've read. I hope puts a little bit of the Black Grail together. I'd love to find out more about them and explore that a bit more, actually. But then finally, you've got the Sultanate.
Yes.
And the Sultanate obviously is something that we've not seen to my knowledge, in any other game like it. Obviously, these are followers of Allah, they're Muslim. What made the decision to do that? And do you think that effectively setting the religions against each other is going to be something that is going to work for the game, just given, I'll just say it, how badly religions get together in the real world?
No. Well, first of all, it's the I think it would have been sanctimonious for me to. I mean, it's clear that the Levant is there would be a Islamic presence galore, of course, especially thinking of the how it all started. But in the lore, I mean, there are actual forces of shaitan, as the followers of the Islam would say here. It's that's the enemy. So they are co-belligerents. I mean, of course, in a game, it's you can play against each other, because like we all do it. I mean, there is plenty of Space Marine versus Space Marine fights, and this could be because of a heretic illusions. They could get false, the commands falsified by the devils that, hey, this other force is actually heretics in disguise. Whatever, it could be a matter of honor. It's there could be many reasons, but as main factions, the faithful and the believers, so the Islamic and the Christian factions, do not fight, because they face an absolute existential crisis. We are talking about not just like losing war; it's the ending, the whole world, and possibly all creation could be lost.
Literally apocalypse. So it's the enemy of the enemy. Enemy of my enemy is my friend, basically.
Yeah. And it also, because obviously the European nations had their hands full with the Hell's forces, and then some. There was never any colonialism, so I could create all these cool the forces in North Africa, for example. It's because the cultures took a very different turn, and to me that's actually like the much more interesting. It's how the history became different. And as for the religion aspect, I mean, I just thought that, look, if I, instead of either creating something the really fake pandering, or saying that every single person that's ever lived who is Islamic is evil, which is like is ridiculous and disgusting.
It's not true.
And we have plenty of I have my Turkish friends. We have plenty of the players of every nominations, including Muslim, who love the game, like the fact that they are represented in like they can sink their teeth and get all the great warriors from their legends. They mustn't necessarily haven't had that many opportunities, and it's super popular with Western players as well. So I think I did the right thing. It's I don't think it's that difficult. It's you just don't be a jackass. And when you do,
no, absolutely. I mean, I just, wargaming has always traditionally been a very Western white male thing, and I've always said that absolutely anybody is welcome. Come in, and if we can do something to make it more welcoming to you without completely fundamentally undermining the setting, then of course you should. So it's great that Muslims would feel that there is something they can play, because certainly I don't think I've ever seen anybody of that faith or orientation playing Warhammer, certainly, because maybe they just feel there's nothing for them. That the closest you would have would be, oh man, I don't know, maybe some of the White Scars or something. But
or the Arabian, the Warhammer Fantasy. But that's, to be honest, it wasn't probably the best of the Warhammer's work. But in here also, I think that it's hugely enhances the setting, cost. I mean, I would never do it, but just thinking of like brushing under carpet all these hundreds of millions of people. So that's not what a real designer should do. We were not afraid at all, because we knew that we were doing good stuff. It's and that's been very, very, very well received on all quarters. It's as I think gaming is for everyone.
Yes, and it enriches the world as well, because otherwise people are going to ask these questions. You've had Jerusalem and everything. So what happened to all this lot here? So it's great to have that in the world because it makes it more full, more realistic, and a more realised kind of environment. So obviously, Trench Crusade at the moment, we are seeing loads of people on Facebook, Discord, all that kind of stuff, sharing all these brilliant models that they've been kit bashing from a variety of different sources, and it's just incredible to see these. Wow, I mean, just these creations. Some of them are just absolutely brilliant, and that's another thing where I feel like Warhammer's gone down a little bit, where they make such bespoke kits. I mean, you probably remember back in the day, you could order individual bits of metal from GW, from the mail orders, to make your own models. Where GW makes these kits, although you could kit bash them, I'm not sure that it's encouraged so much these days, and it seems to be a bit more bespoke.
Yeah.
Minor conversions, but no real kit bashing, and just nothing like I've seen out of the Trench Crusade community. There's been some incredible stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the most stunned one is me. Like, I am every day just going my jaw on the floor. Wow. And guys, I haven't even finished the game rules. That's just brilliant. But I obviously like the get it is there is business side, but we are just 3 guys. It's the making an indie game, so we don't have to worry so much about, like, we don't have the stock holders. We don't have shareholders. We don't have we have no bosses. We don't, like you said, it's an intentionally a mature game, so we can go a bit further. And we don't have to like enforce any limits on how you build your terrain or your models. So of course we don't have to feed a company of thousands of people, so we can have a more leeway. But the best thing to me, by far the best thing of the whole project, it has been this unleashing the human creativity that we're seeing. That's worth like more than anything that I've ever made in gaming. It's just what I wanted to see. I couldn't dream it would go this well.
It's so good. I mean, I've always said that you don't have a game without a community. You can make the best game in the world, but if nobody's playing it, it's not gonna spread. It's not gonna grow. No matter how good that game is, no matter how good the rule system is. But I did want to talk about the rule system because I found it really cinematic. I don't know if that's what you're going for, but I love the fact that you could do nearly as many actions as you want, one of each, obviously, taking a test each time. And it's just, rather than getting all your models and just going, right, I move them 6 inches, right, I roll 20 dice, right, I re-roll the ones, right, you sweep your models off the board. This has so much more scope for really cool stuff happening in the game, like, and I'm going to say this because I'm a grognard, 2nd edition 40k. And it reminded me of that kind of level of game where you'd have maybe 10, 20 models and maybe a large monster or something like a dreadnought or a tank, So, I mean, that I found very cool. And I saw some elements of Mordheim in the game design, like with the injury chart and stuff. And it was just really nice to see that again. So, how far are you along with the rules? Obviously, we've had the playtest rules, but the actual finalised rule set, how close are you to finishing?
Yeah, I think the core mechanics are solid. I mean, I will tinker with few things, like to give you an example, the if you hit a model that's down, is so it gets a down result again in injury chart. You get 2 blood markers instead of 1. These are little things, but the core mechanics, like you building your own turn in any order you wish, with a couple of tiny exceptions, is solid. I believe in it. Having just 2 tables for all actions, action chart, and fall injury, all kinds of hurt that can happen, 1 chart. That's it. If you know, and then the plus and minus dice mechanism, you get those, you get the game. You can basically play everything hangs on from those. It's interesting you talk about the cinematic, because this was actually John Blanche was saying that, you know what I want to do? I want to sort of get out of a trench. I want to sort of the jump is the from the top of the enemy trench, shoot them as I'm coming down, and then stab them with a bayonet. And no game lets me do it. And I said, John is right. Why? And then I started working based on that. And there were obstacles on how to get that working. So I had to put my thinking cap on. But once there was a goal that if I want to take the risks and the dash over the no man's land is the climb up is a tower, shoot enemy from there and then come down with the bayonet and kill them. If you pull it off, it's sweet. It's
it's those moments you talk about,
Mhm.
you know, and it's a narrative moment.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, you know, my trench pilgrim, as you say, climbed up this thing and then stabbed down with his knife, and it's not just, oh, I rolled 8 6s, so I did 8 automatic wounds and you don't get saves and you're dead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is the other thing. There is nothing works or fails automatically. No matter how badly the odds are stacked against you or how much they are in your favor, you still can always succeed or fail with every case. And yeah, the chances are small, but nothing is to me more depressing than auto armor saves or auto successes or auto fails. Let me roll some dice. Let me believe that I can pull the ultimate move off.
It's like re-rolling dice, isn't it? I mean, the dice are telling a story and you're kind of removing that story by allowing, you know, quite often unlimited re-rolling.
Yeah.
So when it comes to obviously the Trench Crusade game as it is, with the action system as it is, it's going to work absolutely fine. However, if you keep making expansions to the game, say you start putting tanks in and start using 50 models rather than the 20 to 30, is it potentially you may have to think of a different kind of rule system? Because I was just thinking, like, you know, taking the tests is great when you've got half a dozen to 20 models. If you're moving 40 models about, it could take a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I presume that eventually there's plans for a bigger scale.
Yeah.
But would you think you'd have to change that? Is it something you've thought about yet?
I have. I mean, I'm a game designer, so it's even if I try not to, it's my brain is going on about these things all the time. So absolutely, we thought about it because you have to believe. I believe in the shoot the stars so you might hit the moon. So hey, I would love if the game became big. The test is coming soon in Kickstarter. Let's see if the enthusiasm turns into support that would allow us to build more. I'm quite optimistic. But yeah, and you're 100% right. A larger scale rule set. This is skirmish set. I would have to come up with a different rule set for a battle game. But I also think that on the very essence of it, I would try to achieve the same cinematic feeling for units instead of individuals. It would require a different set of the rules and conditions. But I would have the same philosophy, but I would write a new rule set. Because, for example, vehicles, they would need everybody would love to have a tank, but those need very, very well written rules so they don't become cumbersome and slow to use. So I would really put my thinking cap on. But to answer your question, yes, I've thought about it, and 100% it would need a new rule system.
Okay. Now, obviously, we're getting all this hype with Trench Crusade, which is fantastic, and it's all building towards a second Kickstarter. I think there's a little first one which is just do some models, but this is the Kickstarter. So, what can you tell us about that? Any juicy little details? Will there be a big rule book?
Yep.
Is it full warbands?
How we are now looking at it, it's a lore and art book because Mike from China has hundreds of thousands of fans, and some of them are not gamers, and that's completely great. Let's get what they want, i.e. art and the cool background of the world. Full rule book, both has PDF and the rule book has hardback. Let's see what we do with the art book. 6 factions, each with multiple sub factions. Like the New Antioch works as sort of a high level, the faithful military organization, but the underneath you can have a variant versions of the Ire, Alba, so Scots, and the Irish is I am gonna do the Crown of England too, and so on and so forth. There is for the heretics, they can be either the standard living guys or they can be trench ghosts. So the heretics who died on hallowed ground, so they can't go to hell or heaven, so they're stuck at the haunting us. So well, might as well continue the war then, lads. Up, hip hip. So and great number of those. It's the campaign system, tons of scenarios, optional rules. It's the skill system for progressing your warriors, and then models for each warband. Each of those 6 factions we try to cover every single type, both digital and physical, and that's what we are aiming for. And that should be hopefully an exciting proposition.
Yeah, sounds good. And it's good, I mean, STLs as well, because a lot of what I've been seeing already has been done by people with 3D printers. And as you say, Trench Crusade's totally open to that. You've even said that the scale doesn't really matter. It's the experience of the game. So I believe Trench Crusade's 32.
32,
people have been making 28mm models out of War Games Atlantic and stuff.
Yeah, and they look great. And we obviously had to say the scale and tell what the bases are, but really, you came with me with a great Atlantic War Games set. I'm just gonna say, wicked, let's play. And I think everybody should do the same. I mean, the stuff people are showing is fantastic. I would love to play with any of them. People have different budgets. They have different collections. I'd rather see all this creativity than start arguing, oh, it's 2 millimeters off, you can't play. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, I wouldn't want to play with somebody like that either. There's just it's a bit too far. So we got a rough time for the Kickstarter. Are we sort of looking next few months, or maybe later in the year, or?
Yeah, the months you can count with the fingers of your one hand. You have one.
So within the next 5.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good window. That's pretty good. So you were talking about the campaign rules, and that was something else that I really liked about this game. The fact that you start with 10 warriors, but then those warriors will go through a campaign and you'll add to the number and everything like that. With that in mind, is there any scope for different advancements for different factions, or is it a one fits all? Because from what I've seen on the roster sheet, there's one at the moment. But I was just wondering if you were going to insert some more flavour in that way.
Oh, there are the generic skill tables, but for each one of them, if you roll 2 or 12, you get to pick one of the skills of your patron. So your patron could be the Duke of New Antioch, or if you are Black Grail, it would be Beelzebub himself, or if you follow one of the Devil Lords, they would give you different skills. And how it works, because I was between the rock and hard place. If it's full random, the skill selection, it's you often end up with skills that are useless, and you feel really bad. If you choose, everybody figures out the best ones, and then everybody chooses same. So how I did it is, you pick 2 tables, you roll results, and you get to pick. So you pick which tables, then you roll, and then you say that this or this is more useful. So it gives some.
But there's still a little bit of randomness in there. Yeah. So yeah, as you say, I think that's the best, because otherwise people will just build for a meta, and it will just get.
Yeah. Boring. Everybody's same, and who wants that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the exploration system as well, and what I'm really happy about is because, as you know, in the skirmish campaign games, if you start losing, you just often fall down more and more. But since the warbands here are representing very powerful factions like proper great armies or fallen angels, so if you've had catastrophic defeat, you can go, that's right, I'm skipping exploration, I'm sending a call for help to my patron, and then you can fill your roster to the current threshold level. So every fight, the threshold level goes up. And if you suffer catastrophic defeat, you just call for reinforcements. Yeah, you lose some exploration, but on the flip side, you're back in the campaign.
Right, okay, so you can replenish your losses, basically. You're never knocked out of the game, per se.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to Trench Crusade. I love the setting. I love the game rules, and I can't wait for the Kickstarter. Now, I do apologise, Tuomas, because I am going to ask, because I know people are waiting for this.
Go for it.
And I have my own thoughts. People have been saying that Trench Crusade is woke. Now, I personally disagree, because I don't think a game that has the nuns that we saw on Facebook earlier, who weren't wearing any clothes, and things like the stigmatic nuns could possibly be considered woke. But there is a certain section of YouTube, let's say, that are adamant and are spreading the message that this game is woke and the Discord is only allowing one side of politics, because the Discord rules, for those that don't know, basically says no politics, but sexuality and identity is not politics, which I personally agree with. If you want to find out or you want to ask questions about how you might be represented within the setting, I don't think that's a bad thing, as long as you're not attacking somebody or presenting your politics. I did sort of twitch my eyes ever so slightly when somebody said that artillery witches were cat girls and nobody could change their mind. But it takes all sorts. But yeah, I just wanted to lay that out to you because obviously the accusation is there. I don't personally believe it, but just putting it to you, Tuomas, what would you say to people that say Trench Crusade is woke and it only wants SJWs, left sides in the game?
I mean, it's ridiculous if you come to Discord. Like, amongst others, we have I can believe 2 Catholic priests. It's the part of the community, a PhD of a religion. I guarantee you, these people do not follow that side of politics. They are more traditionalist people. They behave well. They are super loved and the valued members of the community. There are people of every faith domination. It's the political persuasion, all just talking excitedly about the game because the rules are simple. It's don't be jerk to others. No real world politics or ideology or preaching of any kind. That's an immediate offense that will get you booted out. Post what you love, not what you hate. I mean, the bar of good behavior is so low that a tomato could clear it. So it's not much to ask. Just be normal. And if as I know quite a few of the people there, I absolutely guarantee you that there are plenty of people there who most certainly are not left political persuasion, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The game, it's about this universe. This all started. It's because we were guests at the Discord channel of the 28th, because we had 3 people. We don't have time to moderate. We're busy making games. We have full-time jobs. And they're lovely people, Finnish people. They do the 28 magazine, lots of cool Grimdark stuff. Their Discord channel is pretty much the same rules, but because we became so popular and so many people came in, I think it was like 4,000, and I believe the number was 5, something like that. Well, I was asleep, and remember, I was a mod, so whatever. It's the who behaved against the rule in a very, very, very unpleasant manner. Which the mods did their job, but of course, when you have a tiny mod team trying to moderate a huge group, they couldn't handle just the sheer amount of people either. So we just said, look, guys, you've been great. You've been like, we couldn't have done it, but we have now such a big community, so many people who want to get the help us. We'll do our own Discord channel because it's unfair to ask this very small group of people doing this magazine to host us. Alex, it's the who runs it, is the top bloke. It's the let's shake hands. It's don't worry. This is stressing you. We'll take care of it. We made our own Discord. It's the simple rules. It's any politics, you're out. Any propaganda of any kind, you're out. Yes, you're allowed to say what your religion is whatever your sexual orientation. If you want to talk about it, it has nothing to do with anything except who you are. Hell, if you don't want to talk to those people, it should be easier. Then you know who you don't want to talk to. But as of, if I understand the word woke, it is something to do with Marxist Leninism. And I can guarantee you, there is nothing about the game. That's nothing to do with real world politics. All are welcome. You just have to behave like a normal human being. And if that is not okay, then fair enough. Then this is not for you. Hey, there is a billion other forums you can go to if but any sort of a idea that some are saying that we don't allow Christians. I'm just looking, it's bloody hell. It seems that the quarter of our population is a practicing Christians, which is or a gaming forum quite a lot, and they're getting along with everybody absolutely great. So I totally dismiss that accusation because for one reason, it is false.
Okay. No, that seems absolutely. I mean, I've been on the Discord, and I've got to say, I've not noticed anything. It's just people getting into the setting, discussing lore, their own war bands, any of that kind of stuff. And I can totally say that, even though I'm not the best at social media, I went through so much hassle setting up this meeting without Matt, my tech guy, around. Damn you, Matt. The Discord is a very welcoming place. And what you're basically saying is that everybody's welcome.
Yep.
Just don't bring your real world politics into it, and that goes for left and right and everything in between.
Yep.
And just don't be a dick.
I mean, it's not hard. There are so many channels where you can argue about the politics or the modern issues, and that is good because I believe here in freedom of speech. But it's not our gaming forum. This is for discussing games because I mean, it's the same if you went to a cooking channel and it was all about cars. You'd go, hang on a sec, I came here to talk about cooking. Why is everybody talking about cars? I mean, it would be weird. So, but again, there is no problem. I mean, also I have to say the number of people that were involved in this, the whole the hurrah was incredibly tiny. Like we are talking about less people than you can imagine. So I don't think about them because, quite frankly, there's already like 10,000 people Facebook group, thousands and thousands on Discord. Once more coming every day. Remember, this is indie game that isn't out yet. It's the immaterial to me. I think in some ways it's probably better that this is on its own because there are lots of indie games on the 28 channel that we were starting to take so much space that it wasn't really easy for them. So I think everything went the best possible way in the end.
That's it. Everybody's welcome. Just play together. I mean, my criteria, as I said, on whether something's woke is the setting.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at Trench Crusade, there is nothing even slightly woke about that at all. I can't wait for it, Tuomas, and I can't thank you enough for making time to speak to Grumpy Goblin Gaming today. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with? Anything that you want us to keep an eye on? What's the best place to get Trench Crusade news?
It's we do on our Facebook. It's because there are lots of old grognards like us. It's that's the first our official Facebook page that we post.
And check out my short story on there as well. No, I think you've read it, Tuomas. To be honest, you commented on it.
I enjoyed it.
I was inspired. What can I say?
Exactly. This is what this hobby is about. Like it's the creativity. So we post every week is the latest like official news, whatever it's a new unit, new artist, the latest news on the rules or the Kickstarter or the models we are making. It's introducing the freelance sculptors that are working with us. It's the RA fans that have done something mind blowing. We should do more of that because they're so good. Or competitions, we run that awesome competition. So that's the easiest place. It's the Discord is a younger crowd and it's super intense and busy, very friendly. No. Young folks have the nimble fingers, and we have like a 30-second slowdown so our moderators could keep up. So quite frankly, they've had almost nothing to do. Like just say sometimes if there's a bit of a ruffle, say, hey, it's everybody be nice. And everybody is nice. Yes.
Yeah, I see you dive in there every now and again, but I mean, even talking about the Discord, if it was a fractious place and there was loads of stuff going on, then you would expect to see message deleted, message deleted, message deleted. There's none of that. It is literally just people sharing their enthusiasm for the system.
Yeah, and I think that shows that the instead of finding reasons to fight with the others, it's whoever comes there. Because I said, we have people from every possible philosophical, spiritual, religious, political point of view together. Because I know a lot of these people, and they certainly ain't all the same, not by a long shot. And they're having fun together. And I think the more we as a gaming community can do that, instead of spending time fighting with each other for reasons unknown to me, it's I still,
Celebrate your commonalities. Don't
yeah,
worry about the differences.
yeah,
Find
yeah,
common ground. No man's land.
yeah, yeah. And the it's simple as that. It's the and that's what I aspire to, for. I am quite frankly supremely uninterested in there are a lot of people doing politics. I want to do games. But to end on a positive note, it's the one thing everybody is the looking forward to. It's is the world map. So we just, because everybody asks for it every day, I just wanted to say here, we promise we're working on it, and the I think you're gonna love it.
Fantastic. And I will link in the video a playthrough video that I can't remember the name now. What's the name of the guy that did the MGM miniature game?
Miniature game montage.
That's it. Did a
Let's
playthrough video, which is very good.
very good, very good. It's
So
gonna
I'll link that in the video. But I will stop taking your time, Thomas. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you so much. Maybe catch up round about the Kickstarter if you're not too busy.
No. You just sent me a message, mate. It's the local Nottingham lad. It's that's what I was for years. Of course, we should talk.
Excellent. You said you're going to come down for a pint sometime as well.
Oh, I'm gonna come and see John Blanche. So
Fantastic. Well, let me know. We'll grab a drink. Again, thanks very much, Thomas. Take it easy, mate. And yeah, can't wait for Trench Crusade.